regards to small businesses, okay, because that's basically what most of you are involved in. So I thought that this is one of Boston Private's niches. We are there to take care of your financial needs. So, for instance, I've got a gentleman that has recently come to me that is a third generation owner of a company, and you know, the father passed it down to his father, and now it's becoming his opportunity to become the owner. That being said, his ideas and his father's ideas are slightly different, but the father doesn't want to give up total control, so he will stay with the company and kind of guide his son through it. However, the son wants to automate items and streamline the company. And in this world of fraud and all the technology that's out there, he's reached out to his banker and asked, what can you do for me? So we're going to sit down and kind of go through what he wants out of it. So to Maricel's point about listening, I do a really good job about listening. And as many of you will know in this room, one of the first things that I do not enjoy is public speaking. So, but I do respect and appreciate Jack because he has been a good person, because when I first came to Conejo Valley, I joined his group to find out and see how I could learn, because I have been in banking for close to 35 years. And but I've been behind the scenes. So getting out and talking to people, I can sit one-on-one and have a great conversation. That being said, getting back to my other part is, so I want to work with that client. So I'm listening to what my client wants us to do and how I can help him. So one of the ways that I can sit down and listen to my client is, okay, how do you do business? How do you want to do business? You know, do you need a lending need because maybe perhaps you are going to be wanting to expand your business. Maybe you're going to want to, again, if you're going to streamline some of the processes, you may need capital. So while that is not my function within the bank, just like in this organization, you know, one of the reasons we're here is so we have connections. So we can say, hey, you know, I've got a legal matter. Kevin, you know, I know, you know, if it's in his wheelhouse, you know, reach out to him and ask him for a little bit of advice, and then maybe there's an opportunity there for him. And that's what I do as well within the bank. So we're not about, Boston is not about selling. We're also not about the numbers game. So on that portion, it's like, okay, so again, I have the time to sit and listen to what you have to say. So you sit there and you tell me, I have, you know, this is what I want to do and how do I get there? So Boston is a great resource, and a lot of people that have not experienced a private or commercial bank do not understand the difference. A lot of you deal with retail banks. I will not, they will remain nameless, but it's really about transactions. You may or may not have a relationship with them, but I had a situation where I just recently brought on board somebody, and one of the things is that he does not work close to our location. So I took the documents out to them. Okay, so because we're not on every corner, I'm not expecting you to come to me. I'm happy to come to you and share my knowledge with you and things like that. And even if it's just a matter of a phone call, again, kind of like Kevin being a great resource to the group. I, as a banker, I've got 35 years of experience. There's probably not too much I don't understand, or at least have a good idea of what you need to do to accomplish that task. And that's, again, what I'm going to do with this client here is sit down, identify the issues, and then bring in the right partners to help them. And so one of the things that I was looking at showing you guys, and I put together some packages, is kind of, again, a portion of what I do, which is the deposit, and that's the day-to-day operations and the cash management. I also help with fraud protection products. So, you know, for the clients that you have heavy volume of either checks or ACHs, Technology is not on our side at this point. It is, we have to do everything we can. And at Boston, they like to partner again with the organization. Effective February 13th, our fraud protection portion is getting enhanced. So one of the things that is going to be enhanced is that we offer positive pay, which is a feature where you electronically transmit to the bank all the checks that you issue, and then they match them. If they don't match, then we will send out a notification to you electronically saying, here are some items that you need to decision. Do you want to pay them? It may be right or may be wrong. If it's wrong, you can return it. If it's fraud, then you don't have to close down your accounts, which can be, and this is for businesses, I have to emphasize, it's not on the individual side. So from that perspective, you need to have that as if you're doing heavy volume of check writing and things like that, because again, we need to do protection. We also have ACH, positive pay, which again, you tell us who you want to pay, and we will pay them. We will, if you don't have rules set up to pay these items, they will then kick them out, and you will have to, again, make that decision and then maybe create a rule. Maybe it's a one-time event. The other thing that's also included is account reconciliation. So if you're sending in all your items for positive pay, you then also can do a full reconciliation. And this is all being bundled under one product. And while I know that, again, for anyone out there that may or may not have experienced it, all three products are being brought to you for $40. And I'm not about that particular item. However, you will not go out to any other financial institution and see that type of service. And there's other charges that go along with those because they charge them at individual levels. But with this technology of today and the crooks out there, it's extremely important that we consider looking at that, because we work together. It's not like, oh, the bank is responsible for identifying your checks, but guess what? We have no idea what checks are written and who they're written to. I could, again, I've got a set of clients, I couldn't tell you, but there's certain things that I can do on that aspect. Say, for instance, if a decision hadn't been made, I could potentially look at that item and decide to pay that item on their behalf, because of the fact that I can look at the item and say, okay, it's in sequence, maybe they forgot to transmit. I have cell phone numbers, right? Again, we've got technology. Make that extra phone call that goes ahead and tells you, hey, this item's being presented to you, I paid or return, and things like that. So we're small enough to give you what you need, but big enough to take care of all your needs, because again, Boston Private is a full-service financial institution, and don't be misled by the name of Boston, because we have 13 offices on the East Coast, and we have 12 offices here in California. So we are small but mighty, I guess would be the thing. We also have another section that I don't handle, but again, I'm happy to connect people with, is the lending aspect. And on the business side, they do commercial lending, they'll do commercial real estate, and on the individual side, because we do bank individuals, so again, people are like, oh, I'm not sure if that's the right bank. But again, if you want to have someone that's on your side, knows who you are, and again, we do residential loans. Our specialty is more the jumbo mortgages. We also have first-time buyer programs. So from that perspective, I think we listen to what our clients need. We aren't providing every widget that everything and hitting you up every single time. If you walk into the office up in Westlake, and I invite you to come out there, just give me a heads up, and I will make sure that I'm there, because some people will show up, and that's fine too. You're welcome to go into the office and see what the experience is, but it's a very personal relationship. You're going to, when people do come in that we don't know, we're going to ask how can we help you, because that you're not our client. So but if you are the client, then you're, well, it's like, how are you, Grandma Sharon? How can we help you today? Or, how's things going? However the conversation may go. So if you appreciate personalized service, Boston Private is the bank for you. And then we have wealth, which is what Boston was founded on. Okay, so we have a wonderful wealth department. We just brought on an organization that provides 401ks, so for the small businesses and things like that, we have that capability, which we did not have before. And let's see, what else can I share with you? Oh, the trust department. So I know that some of you work with the elderly and people that have special needs. Boston Private has a trust department that provides services for you. And keep in mind that anytime you want to talk to somebody within the organization, we are happy to come out and talk to you. There's no obligation, there's no pressure from that perspective. We're happy to sit down, review what you have, and tell you, hey, this is a great situation for you, or no, it probably isn't, or maybe you can improve in this area. And I've done that many times, and sometimes that doesn't give me business. However, the fact that I took the time, we had one client that, one of the gals I was talking to yesterday, that they were working through a broker, and the broker was trying to get paid multiple times on one transaction. And so, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, they weren't able to talk to us at that point because, one, they didn't want to have to pay for it. They allowed their contract to expire, but because the young lady had indicated that, hey, your broker's trying to get paid on X, Y, and Z, you might want to reconsider. Again, that cost us business at the time, but 6 months later, after it had expired, there had been a lapse in time, we were able to do business. So they came back to us. They seeked us out. We were not making that call. That's another thing that Boston does not do. We're not all about making those phone calls to you. And, we're not going to be calling you to do that. I mean, what you might receive a phone call is say, hey, maybe we talked and they said to you, we had a product that we didn't have at the time, but we know that was something that you were interested in. You might pick up the phone, like I did recently with one of my clients, and I called them in and said, I know that you were interested in this. I'd like to send you some paperwork. I'd love to come out and talk with you, and then be able to share the information with you. Again, no obligation, but again, keeping in mind what our clients do and how they need the service is what Boston Private is all about. I also included in the package that I'm going to hand out is tax guides for individuals, because again, on the trust and estate side, we will talk to people in that capacity. So with that, I will ask if anyone has any questions that I might answer.
So you mentioned your role has changed. What was it before? What's the difference?
My role before was primarily going out and developing business. That was my sole function within the bank. A year ago, I transitioned into a private banker, which is really what I'm about. Again, if you sit down and talk to me, again, like I said, when I get up and do presentations, you won't hear that about me. I'm not a salesperson. I've only been in this role and with Boston for 3 years. But up to that time, that's where I differ from them, because I come with 32 years of operational experience. So I'm sitting down and I'm like going, I sat down with one of my colleagues and said, well, did you talk, this client we're boarding, did you talk to him about this, and this? Where they're going, again, not even, oh, I didn't think about that. Well, again, I want to be able to, your time is just as valuable as mine. So if I'm sitting down with you, I want to make sure that I'm making that presentation. I'm delivering what you need at that time. I don't want to have to come back and say, you make the phone call and say, hey, I was hearing from somebody else and they wanted to set me up on online banking. Well, why did you set me up on online banking? I mean, again, there's going to be certain conversations. Again, how you do business is, and how you want to do business is how I want to help you. So that's what makes me different from that aspect is the operational experience. I can account for the, not account, lost at the word, but know what you anticipate, your needs. So based on something, you know, however that transaction is going, and that's again based on experience. That is most important, and I think all my clients appreciate it because again, it's one phone call, not 5 phone calls. Thank you, John.
Sure.
Anything else?
Could you maybe at least share a gratifying story, somehow that you found a need and serviced it, and it was an unusual event for you too?
Well, most recently, I had a client that was doing a mortgage with Boston Private, and so he was getting a little bit antsy. He had originally had one closing date, and he changed. Then I guess the closing date, the opportunity to buy the boat got moved up. So then he's calling the bank, and then he's going, Lisa, I haven't heard from my mortgage person. I need them to call me right now. You know, and so I can intercede on that behalf and try to get that done. And so I got, you know, a thank you for helping, expedite. There was also in that situation, there was a request made for tax payment. Well, he had paid it out of his account at Boston Private. I was able to supply that information to our mortgage person so that he didn't have to worry about it. And then I also gave him other suggestions about. They were also talking about insurance and things like that. I kind of helped him and held his hand through that portion, guiding them there. I've also recently we sold 2 locations. We sold our Burbank location and our Granada Hills location. And during that transition, some of the clients had loans with us. Well, the loan was staying with us, but the account was going to the other financial institution. And it was a small little sound production company that I went and hand delivered the documents, got them to sign, and he goes, I don't know that another bank would have done that for me. You know, they would have either expected them to come in or send it in the mail, send it back. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't. So, you know, that's some of the things that I do. Also, like wire deadlines and things like that. A lot of times we've got closings and things like that that we have to. There's timing issues, and everyone's nervous at that point. So I can make that extra phone call to our wire department to push the process along. So, thank you for your question. So, anything else?
Lisa, can Boston Private act as successor trustee, professional trustee for once a client dies?
Yes, we can. We can. On that note, we can act as we can be named as a successor trustee, but we do need to be named prior, and an approval has to be obtained before we are named.
Right.
So as long as that's been done, we will then step in when that occurs. And if, say, for instance, we have, if that client had a financial advisor such as Jack, they would be able to continue to maintain that relationship, which is somewhat different than some organizations. You know, they allow the advisor to have it, but we can manage those assets. And that's typically about $1 million in assets, and that can include the house, which in California, again, most people would qualify for that. So, or for instance, you become incapacitated, and you need someone to step up and take, before that. We'll take care of all, take care of that if, say, you don't want a family member, because again, when it comes to money, people like to argue and fight, and so a lot of disruptions have occurred because of that. And so that is something that we can help resolve, because again, we are going to follow the trust. It has no, we have no nothing in it from that perspective. So that is something else that we are able to do. So thank you all.
Thank you.